What are some green flags early on in dating that the relationship should become serious? My husband and I backcountry camped on our second date. He was a pro, so I trusted him abs. He says he was impressed at my willingness to be bold and do something adventurous. We spent several hours hiking into a spot with only conversation in the woods. We set up camp and cooked together. The feeling was peace. Just at peace to be with each other, work as a team and comfortable with the quiet and fire. I knew he was the one that night. I always thought love at first sight would be a powerful rush or energy. Turns out it feels like coming home. When your soul feels at peace, that's a green flag, my friends. Early in our dating days, I was on a train with my now husband. The inspector was checking our tickets while we were about to pull away from the station when my husband spotted a woman come running down the platform. He pointed this out to the inspector, who stuck his arm out the window and held the train until she got on. My husband was so casual about it, didn't think anything of it really, and it was a small action, but one that likely made her day better. I thought it said a lot about his character, that he'd help out a stranger who didn't even know it. I was right. He is still that kind of guy. This reminds me of my husband. He always offers to help people with heavy bags or strollers on escalators, stairs, etc. if they look like they might need help. He's not a big guy, so often I think people are sometimes taken aback, but the way he casually asks and then hauls ass for others has always just blown me away. This was one of the most romantic things my husband did when we were early-ish in our relationship. He doesn't even remember it or think it was a big deal, but it was a huge green flag for me. I was preparing to move to a new apartment and had a ton of stuff going on in my life, including trying to coordinate moving out with expensive heat treatment for bed bugs that my whole landlord refused to be involved with. I was super stressed and drained, and when I was cleaning the fridge, one of the shelves inside literally shattered. I was basically beside myself and so frustrated because I knew that said a whole landlord was going to screw me on my security deposit now after all I put up with. So I vented to my husband, then boyfriend, and was basically just like, I give up. Everything is the worst. The next day he let me know that he had looked up my fridge model, found the shelf as a standalone piece, and ordered it, and it would be there in 2 days, or whatever. I cried. I was so grateful. I was so overwhelmed and emotionally exhausted over the bed bugs and moving and everything else, and the fact that he saw that and just took something off my plate and handled it was such a relief. It showed me what a supportive partner he could be, and it was just what I needed. Also, when my parents' dog, which I'd grown up with, got old and stopped being able to jump onto his favorite chair, my husband, then boyfriend, built a ramp for the dog so he could still get up there to sit with my mom, and he matched it to her decor on purpose. These were all things he just felt like, well, of course, it was needed about, but they reinforced what a caring, thoughtful, loving, true partner he was. He still seeks out ways to do little things to make my life easier all the time. Many years later, obviously these examples are specific, but hopefully you see the overall green flag qualities they showed. My husband and I have endless conversations. There's nothing we can't talk about. Nothing. The first time we ever chatted on the phone, we talked for 6 hours. We've been together for 15 years and still talk every day, several times a day. We love our breakfast time because we chat after eating and really enjoy each other's company. We love talking, no matter where we are. And since he also works from home, we work together. There's lots of times we're saying nothing, just enjoying being around each other. But I love that we can talk about anything we want, and it doesn't descend into an argument. They genuinely like being able to do things to help you out and vice versa. Big evidence on the vice versa part though. The great feeling of helping someone out can fade fast once you realize you're being manipulated. Taking embarrassing shit in stride. This was pretty literal for me. Sorry, this is my second post. I used to have ulcerative colitis really severely, which led to me shitting myself far more often than one should shit themselves in their early 20s. When I first started seeing my husband, who has ASD, we'd drive from campus to my apartment, and I'd be like, white knuckle concentrating on not shitting myself in his car, run up the stairs, usually barely making it to the bathroom before he walked through the door. One night I didn't make it. I'm basically hiding in the bathroom and turn on the shower because it's a gross mess. On the other side of the door, he's all, "Why are you always so mad at me when we drive to your place? Did I say something?" He'd been reading my try not to shit face as I'm angry, so I came clean and admitted I'd just shit myself, preparing for him to sort of back out slowly and end things as quickly as would be polite. This was within our first 2 months. His response instead, "Oh, so you just shit yourself? Where are your jeans?" "In the garbage." "That's silly. Jeans are expensive. The laundromat is locked for the night. But do you have a bucket or something? We can soak them overnight and wash them tomorrow." "You're really not grossed out?" Shrug. "Not like you could help it. Just like, talk to me." "I thought you were mad. Tell me what's going on." You know, I had feared that exact scenario since I started having UC symptoms, and my future hubs just rolled with it. Years later, when I had my colectomy, he bathed me in the hospital. After that, when he had to have a circumcision 25, I looked after his stitches, changed his bandages several times a day, and we laughed about how gross stuff was. He's seriously the best. There's a relationship I was in for quite some time with a girl who had Crohn's to the extent of having an ostomy bag. She was so hesitant to share with me. Not even her closest friends knew except one. But alas, something like that you can't keep secret forever from a partner you plan to be intimate with. She didn't want people to look at or treat her differently, to think she couldn't do things, and I don't blame her in many ways. I had and still do have so much respect for that woman. It did change my opinion about her, but in the sense I felt it made her shine more. She was very strong and soft-hearted, caring, determined, and ambitious. I had historically always thought to myself, sadly, that I didn't know how people could happily build lives with those who may have lifelong less than ideal situations like that. It really bothered me that I thought that too. And I'm sure in some ways she had the same fears of how will someone like me. After meeting her and getting to know her, it kinda just became clear. It never felt like a burden. It never felt annoying. It honestly in many ways made me like her more, because it was a testament to her character. It was just a part of life, and life was still okay overall. Heck, even while intimate things like the ostomy bag never stood out, it was there, sure, but in my head it just wasn't something that mattered. I just saw her, and she was beautiful regardless. It's unfortunate it didn't work out for other reasons, but I really value that relationship. She taught me so much about acceptance, better understanding the lack of knowledge we have of everyone else's world, and also about myself. Man, typing this out, I think I need to revisit those lessons. Edit, didn't expect this attention fixed to typus. About 4 months into my relationship, I got injured. There was a chance that I wouldn't be able to walk again. My then girlfriend, now wife, said, "Don't worry, it's going to be okay. We can figure this out either way." I'm okay now. But just knowing she was going to stay with me, no matter what, was huge. We've been together 8 years now. We have our challenges, but at the end of the day we both know we're there for each other. So, were you able to, walk? How good is their company during a drive, or when there is nothing to do? My future wife and I found that we love just spending time together. We could talk for hours in a car during a drive. Sometimes the drive was more interesting than where we were going. A few weeks into our relationship, we went through a drive-thru, and she spontaneously unwrapped and rewrapped my burger so I could eat it while driving with clean hands. I knew I was going to marry her. Just over a week from now it will be 23 years. Shit, my wife and I can drive for 3 hours without saying a word. She might jump out of the car if I wanted to talk for 3 hours and vice versa. Quiet time is fun time. Both people genuinely enjoying the conversation, being attentive to each other, no negative attitude either. To add to this, asking questions. If you're enjoying the conversation because you're dominating the talking, it makes people turned off. Ask them questions, expect them to ask you some in return. Show interest in them by asking questions about things they seem energized. This is huge in developing good conversations. If they respond well when you are dealing with a crisis situation, or when you are seriously ill, or when your family member is seriously ill, they may be a keeper. In other words, how do they interact with you during times of stress? Does their presence behavior help? Do they make it worse? Or do they make themselves scarce? Isolation was doing a number on my relationship for a hot minute. Cooped up, not seeing friends, nothing to get excited for, just generally feeling down and irritable. My partner and I were bickering more often about stupid little things, and we just weren't feeling great about things for a bit. Then we went on a drive down a forested dirt road to scope out possible campsites for the weekend, and ended up losing our brakes entirely, which had been inspected the week before but evidently not properly, followed shortly after by a flat tire. Then the spare also ended up being flat. Reminder to check your spares regularly. It was getting late and help was on the way to meet us back at the main road, but to get to it we had to get down a steep hill without cell service, with a drop off on one side, with no brakes and a tire so flat it was basically hanging off the rims. It was not a good situation. He literally had to go down the hill and park with the emergency brake on to keep us from gaining speed. We were super in sync for it, kept our cool, talked our way through it, and all was well. Afterwards, we both felt way better about our relationship, because when shit got real, we were partners working through it together. We worked through the little things and we've been doing great. On my second date, before I was supposed to move states, we got stuck in a parking garage cause of an accident for 45 minutes. We watched an unsubtitled foreign film on my phone, enjoyed talking with one another, and we connected despite being done with what we had planned to do and were stuck in a car. I ended up canceling my move and marrying the woman. Edit just realized today was the day I proposed to her 3 years ago. Odd that it coincided with the post. LOL. You genuinely enjoy one another's company during dull moments. Life's full of them, and you are going to want a partner who you can enjoy them with. I think silence is underappreciated in relationships in general, not just in romantic relationships. There's an oceanic feeling when you're with a good friend just quietly taking in the whole world around you. When you can talk forever about pretty much anything, and when something you have different opinions about becomes an interesting discussion rather than a fight. Important. If you cannot air out your problems making necessary accommodations and have different opinions, do not think it will magically change when in relationship. Being able to make each other laugh, understanding the other person's sense of humor is critical in long relationships. And besides, do you really want to get serious with someone who can't hardly make you laugh or smile? This is so important. I don't think people realize how many arguments can be avoided when you understand when someone is joking. Goes for relationships and general life relationships. The one that surprised me the most was being upset and telling my BF how I needed them to do this, help me with chores, walk the dog every once in a while, etc. because I was overwhelmed and frustrated, and he just responded, okay, I didn't know you felt like that. I'll try to do better, but please remind me if I forget. And that was that. And he did. It seems small and obvious, but holy crap, I don't think I had ever felt more heard. When, during an argument, both parties take time to listen and respond thoughtfully to their partner and show genuine concern for the distress in their partner, even if it is small. This is major. My wife and I both pride our relationship on our handling of our disagreements. If either of us starts to get angry, we stop separate for a while, then come back with cooler heads and iron it out. The adage don't go to bed angry I hate, cause sometimes that cool down period helps, but you still have to be open and communicate what it is you are feeling and why. Edit forgot to say handling of our disagreements. Encouraging growth, but doesn't try to change your foundation. So much this. My now husband is 100% the reason I decided to go to college at 25. He believed in me and encouraged me so much, or I'd have never done it. I kinda just did it on a whim too. It ended up being a quick decision over the summer. I'll be a senior next semester and applying to law schools, and he has been so supportive, encouraging, and helpful this entire time. Honestly, Had I had the support from my family, I'd probably already have been through college. I'm lucky I found him. You go on a road trip together and still like each other at the end of it? Absolutely. Traveling together in general is a great test of a relationship. My boyfriend and I have traveled internationally together 3 times now. Twice while dating, and once before we got together. Packing, airports, cabs, foreign languages, etc. Being able to navigate all the potentially stressful aspects of traveling and still have a good time together is a huge green flag in my opinion. Comfortable silences. If you can enjoy each other's companies without needing a distraction, you're usually golden. Edit. Thanks for awards. I'd like to thank the Academy and the kind strangers. That's how you know you've found somebody really special. When you can just shut the duck up for a minute and comfortably share silence. My Pulp Fiction. Noticing the other does not take themselves too seriously. In the very early days of dating my now husband, we took a long road trip for a romantic getaway in Boston. The first night in town. Expensive dinner in a famous seafood restaurant. The server brings the bill and takes my date's credit card. Server comes back with the news that the credit card was declined. Both he and I burst out laughing at the same moment. That was my green flag. If you set a boundary and they respect it. If you say that you are more comfortable meeting them at the date location after they offer you a ride, they shouldn't insist on picking you up. Yeah. See how someone reacts when you say no to them. If they respect it, it's pretty good. Although you must be careful. People such as narcissists are good at giving you whatever you want at the beginning of a relationship. Being comfortable with time apart. Early on in my relationship, he went out of town with his family. When he arrived back in town, he called me and thanked me for giving him space. But now he misses me and wants to come over. Apparently, his last girlfriend had him on the phone day and night when he was out of town, and he was shocked I didn't call him at all. I was respecting his space. We've been married 5 years now, and I still don't bother him when he's gone for a weekend. He calls me every night before bed. But I don't bug him, because I want him to enjoy his time without worrying about me. It helps that I trust him. They're okay with spending time apart. A significant other, or even just a friend, that can spend their own time alone, and doesn't absolutely need you to be happy is a major green flag. You should make each other's lives better, not become each other's entire lives. They're okay with spending time apart. We just celebrated 15 years together, and I believe this is the single most important part of us being happy together for that long. We are both hobby and career driven individuals that have our own workspaces at home where we like to escape and do our own thing. We also often chill in the same room while doing our own separate things and just enjoying each other's company, respecting each other's needs to do things alone. And not needing to do absolutely everything together is really the key to our relationship working as well as it does. This recently happened to my sister. She'd been chatting with this guy for a while, and it was finally safe for them to meet in person. She went out with him, and ended up eating something that didn't agree with her. Deep fried pickles are a never again food now. Apparently, she asked him to take her home and he did. As they were walking to the car, she puked. He ran and got her a bag and she ended up puking all over his shoes. Not only did this not scare him off in the least, he started building a care package for her favorite tea, gravel, a bucket and some other stuff. It's seriously the sweetest thing I'd ever heard of. If he's going to do something like that for a girl he's met in person all of twice, imagine what he'll do to someone he's super committed to. They're officially together now.